we're standing waiting to get off the plane. He's like, oh, the skyscraper is my favorite. I go, boss, I'm not The Rock. And they're like, yes, you are. I'm like, I promise. They're like, I was like, The Rock does not fly commercial. You wanna be a boss today. You wanna be a boss today.
Welcome to the BILF Pod, where authenticity trumps authority. Now, I am super excited about today's guest. He's not The Rock. He is actually his own amazing self. I love him so much, but I've seen him speak. He is probably one of the most authentic people you'll ever meet. His energy is infectious. When he speaks, he just resonates with his entire audience. So without further ado, I am super excited to introduce today's guest, Setema Gali.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and it's just the kind words. I'm grateful. I'm honored. Thank you.
And they're the truth. So tell everybody, because your story is one of the most profound stories I've ever heard.
You know, I end up going to the Patriots, and one story about that. I get these two teams that want to sign me, the 49ers and the Patriots.
Wow.
And of course, I want to go to the 49ers. I'm like, West Coast. I grew up watching Montana and Steve Young, and it's like close to Utah. So I'm about to go sign with the 49ers. Yeah. And I call it the voice. You know, some people call it the spirit or the Holy Ghost, whatever. I'm just like, the voice inside of me is like, you're supposed to go to the Patriots. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the Patriots. I want to go to the Niners.
Wow. Why did you want to go to the Niners?
It's just the West Coast. It's closer to home. I watched their Super Bowl. You know, there's like 5 Super Bowls with Joe Montana, Steve Young. And now I'm like, the Patriots. So I listen. And I end up going to New England. And again, I've learned when you listen to the voice, you win. You don't, you lose. I ended up going to the Patriots. We win the Super Bowl. That's my rookie year. I'm there for my rookie year, my second year. And right at the beginning of my third year, I come home, back injury. And now I'm like, I got a college degree, a Super Bowl ring, and it's real life now. Like, even the NFL is not real life because it's football.
Yeah.
But when football was done, I'm like, what do I do? And so I always wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to inspire people. But once you have that kind of NFL money, I'm like, I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm going to go make money. So I had a buddy of mine doing mortgages. I jumped into the mortgage arena. Mortgages led to real estate. Real estate led to hard money, land development. And pretty soon I'm sitting on top of a multiple 7-figure empire. I'm in a 6,000 square foot home, $500,000 worth of vehicles in my garage. My oldest son, who was a baby at the time, laying on my chest in my great room, big TV, cars, money. Tomorrow I am empty.
Yeah.
Unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And the reason why? Because I'm a purpose-driven guy.
Yes.
I am so purpose-driven. There's something inside of me that's like, you were meant to do more. You ever feel that way?
Yeah, of course. And money doesn't fill the void. When they say money solves problems, it doesn't make you happy.
Doesn't feel that like purpose-driven, soul purpose thing. So I find myself like, what do I really want to do? And I would see speakers, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn. And I'm like, and my soul just knew this is what you're supposed to do. And that's what I wanted to do. But back then there was no way to do it. So I'm making all this money, 2004, 5, 6, 7, and the session of 2008 hits. Like, we get killed.
Yeah, I know. It happened to me too. Same thing, same story, same thing.
My portfolio, my homes, my cars, everything started, and I got shell shocked to the point where I got paralyzed. I was just like, what? God, like, where are you? And I remember my family coming to pack us up. We're getting kicked out of our home. I'm losing my cars. All the homes are short sold, foreclosed. A year later, we're living in a 900 square foot townhome. I didn't even pay the rent. Government assistance.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, what are we going to do? And I went from the hive, Super Bowl, millions of dollars, everything you could imagine, to like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Now,
That's crazy.
It's easy to tell the story now because I'm in a different place. But back then it was depressing.
Yeah.
It was dark. I'll say this, you talk about being authentic. I remember sitting in my garage, looking at my cars, about to lose them all. And I remember thinking, this is what people go through when they want to take their life, when the pressure is so heavy and they feel like they're drowning and you can't get out. I'm like, this is what it's like, huh? This is what it is. So
you're at rock bottom.
Rock bottom. And then the one moment where everything changes, I'm yelling at my son who's pouring cereal, milk's overflowing. I'm yelling at him about wasting milk. It's cereal and milk, it's like 10 cents. So my wife's like, what are we gonna do? I pull out my Super Bowl rings. The one, like, we did not have money. I couldn't make money. It's just, I fly to New York City. I get off the plane, I'm sobbing. Like, it takes everything to go to the NFL. It's hard to get to the NFL. It's hard to win, and it is dang near impossible to win a Super Bowl. I take my Super Bowl ring, I give it to this collector, he gives me cash, and I tell him, I was like, I'm gonna come back and get that. And he goes, no one ever does. I'm like, well, how many rings do you have? He's like, I got hundreds. Super Bowl, Major League, NBA, hockey. A year later, after selling the ring, the money goes fast. I filed a bankruptcy, big Chapter 7. And now in 2011, I'm 4 years into this, I call it a wilderness. It's dark.
Yeah.
I'm wandering. I'm like, and I start to have these doubts. I'm like, are my best days behind me?
That's hard. That's really hard when you start. I've been there. I mean, your story is very similar to mine.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you start to question, you doubt yourself. I'm 4 years of not making any money. I'm physically out of shape. I'm pretending that life is amazing. I smile at church. I smile at people, but I'm like, and here's the caveat. I knew in my heart, I knew it. Like, to tell me this, you're supposed to overcome this.
Yeah.
So you better figure it out, because this is not the end of this is not your story. And, again, that's 2011. Again, fast forward, here we are in 2025. And again, I love where I live. I love my business. I love my clients. I love my life. I love what I do. I love the people I spend time with. And it has been a journey. But that getting to the bottom, selling the Super Bowl ring, filing a bankruptcy, living on food stamps, EBT. I mean, that was years of just like, what am I doing?
Yeah, and you're just kind of going through the motions. I went through the same thing. I never even told anybody this. This is crazy. I sold Tastefully Simple. Like, I would find like a group of girlfriends and try to like befriend them. Yeah, and because after 2008, same thing happened to me. And here I was, master's degree, right? I was supposed to go to law school, same exact thing. But I think like, for us, right, we hear so many stories about the triumph, but nobody ever gets to hear the downside of what really happens in those dark moments and how you pivoted. But I think you innately know in your soul that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So how did you get, like, what was that moment of like aha moment where you're like, okay, this is not, like, I'm done. We're going to change the trajectory and I am going to be the Setema Gali I am supposed to be. So I'm doing this network marketing company called New Skin. Oh, I know.
I get into New Skin. I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do New Skin. I'm going to build this downline. And there was a guy who had tried to recruit me to go door-to-door sales. And dude's balling. Like, he pushes over his 1099. There's like $1 million. I'm like, what? And he says, what would it take to get you to come knock doors? Now, I'm in my mid to late 30s. I'm like, not like a door-to-door salesman? Yeah. He's like, yes. And he asked me the question again. I am no money. I'm broke. I'm overweight, out of shape. I'm 4 years into this abyss. And he asked me the question, and power is questions. How much would you need to make to come knock doors? If you could make X amount, what would you need to make so that I can get you to come knock doors? And I said, 18 weeks? I was like, man, if I could just make $100,000, if I could just get 6 figures again, he's like, done.
Okay.
And he told me that. And I'm like, I've never done a sale. So he gives me the plan. He shows me what it's going to take. We have no money. Like, we're so broke. I had to scrape to get out to South Carolina. And I looked my wife in the eyes and I'm like, I'm not coming back till this job is done. So she's going to pack the boys up, drive out there in like 6 weeks and meet me out there. And when I left Utah, I felt like, again, there's a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Terminator. And he's on a mission to kill this woman named Sarah Connor. Now, probably not the best movie to use, but the Terminator was on a mission, would not be stopped. I was on a mission where I was gonna master, study, sales, overcome object. I was gonna practice. I was so hungry and so driven. That first summer, I hit my goals. Hardest summer I ever had. I'm drinking Red Bulls, Monsters.
And you were really knocking on people's doors?
I'm knocking and selling.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Imagine me knocking on your door and you open the door and I'm right in the door and I'm like, "You the homeowner here? Nice to meet you." And I learned how to sell, how to close, how to manage. I mean, my skills got sharp. Summer changed my life.
Because you're not coming home without the check.
I'm not coming. I'm not leaving. I'm not going back to Utah unless I make 6 figures. Yeah. And we got 18 weeks to do it. That summer changed my life because a lot of people, they want to be saved. They want someone to come and give them a check. And I had to go roll my sleeves up. I had to study. I'd wake up and study every day for hours, and I'd practice and train and rehearse. I'd role play how to overcome objections. I'd role play how to get through the door, how to close, how to sell.
Did you have previous sales experience?
I mean, I did, but door to door is a different piece.
Yeah.
Like you got to be
completely
quick on your feet.
Yeah.
And you got to recognize and move on and don't waste time. You got to overcome what we call the one-legger. Husband's not home. Oh, your husband's home. Don't worry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, he's going to love this thing. Well, we're not putting it in. 30 minutes later,
no
we're putting
problem.
it in.
Yeah, I used to stick my foot in the door and they were like, "Oh, my husband's not home." No, it's okay. I'm like, I just drove 30 miles. I'm like, it's okay. You know what? Let me just go over the plan with you. If you don't like it, I did the same thing. But I would stick my foot in. That's so funny.
That's it. Door to door, it changed me. I was humbled. I never worked so hard. Like, I worked like a dog that summer. I drank caffeine, large amounts of caffeine, did not eat a lot of food. I just worked and mastered sales because I just knew I got a window of time to make this money. And when I drove home, we went from South Carolina to Augusta, Georgia. When we're driving home in like September, I cried like a baby because I hit my goals. Like, it's like, we did it.
Yeah.
We hit these sales. I recruited guys over. I never stopped. I just worked like a dog. I would get into homes at like 10:15 at night. Last sale of the day, it's getting installed at 1 a.m. and I was just ruthless. And so that's what changed. Like, that changed my world.
Yeah, I think everybody it's so funny just listening to your story because mine was so similar. I was taking appointments because I didn't care. I mean, I went through the same thing when 2008 happened. We were desolate. I had a baby at home, had to figure it out. Same exact story. And I sold insurance. Door to door, business to business, and the deal was you cannot come home without the check because it was transactional. I mean, sales really taught me my life skill. And all I knew was how to connect with people. That was all I knew. I never sold anything my entire life, but sales, I think it builds character. Like, it really, and I wasn't good at first. I was 6 months without money. And then finally I'm like, okay, and I did the same thing. Then I started to put it to the test. I'm like, forget it. I don't have anything else going on. I'm not going to law school. We have no money. Something has got to give. And I did this, but it's just funny listening to you, the one-leggers. I'd be like, oh, it's okay. It's fine, don't worry about it. Don't worry, he's gonna love me. And you know what? Honestly, I can explain it better than you. So I'll just come back after I sell you.
Let me sell you and I'll come back.
You just have your routing account number sign here and then I'll come back, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's so funny because sales does, but I think it takes a certain type of person. And instead of what's really special and what's really hard to come by is someone like you that you fall, because a lot of times people fall and they can't get back up again. And when you don't have that drive or determination, I think we've all been there, whether people want to be authentic about it or not. There's definitely been some moments in my life where I'm like, this is it. Like, I went all these years of school. I come from a good family.
And I'm doing sales.
And this is what I'm doing with myself. And but it really and it's not about sales. That's not really what it is. It never was about sales. What it turned into later was helping other people and really showing them how to create a lifestyle for themselves and be duplicatable. And although I was like kind of resentful that I never went to law school, my purpose was far greater than that. My purpose was to help and serve people and show them to be be the best version of themselves. But I don't think a lot of people see that. So how do you, I know you motivate people. So when you motivate people, what type of people are you generally in front of? And like, what's the biggest message that you try to get across when you're motivating?
So I know you're using the word motivation. A lot of people use that word. I love the word.
You have always better words than me.
Oh, no.
You do, though. You have better words. Just different. It's
just like, people always say, are you a motivational speaker? I'm like, no, because motivation is like caffeine. You get a shot of caffeine and it disappears. So I'm like a man about discipline,
yes,
commitment, clarity. Just like if I know what I want and I can commit to what I want and commit to the path, and if I do everything that's required, I'll get the prize. Like, let me go pay the price to get the prize. So, I would say, like, the message is, number one, like, you have a very limited amount of time on this planet. The time's ticking. I'm almost 50. Like, my oldest is 18, then 15, then 12. So it's not like you got, when you're younger, it's like you feel like you got forever. I'm now at a point in my life where I'm like, time's ticking.
Yeah.
So you got to be intentional and deliberate about the life you're building.
Yes.
And my message is like, you're in charge of your life. Now, again, I believe in God. So I'm like, you and God. But even then, God says, go make your choice and go move. So my message has always been, you're in charge of your life. You get to make choices. Decisions determine destiny. Right? Discipline creates freedom. Commitment alters everything. And just get really clear about what you want. Commit to the necessary required steps. Being committed means doing what's required and go get it. And if you get knocked down, get up. If you don't have enough grit and emotion and passion, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
And that's really the core of my message. I'm just like, if you want it, go get it.
Yeah.
And it's simple. And people want to go on all these tangents and make up all these stories. I'm like,
it's not like that.
I look at you like, look at what you built. Look at your marriage, look at your family, look at your fitness, look at your podcast, your book, your socials, your speaking. I'm like, you're doing it. And I met you not too long ago where this wasn't even created yet.
Yeah.
So you're living proof.
You just have to say that. That's not true, but
it is true.
You're right. It's not, there's no complicated form. There's not like a law. I love Nike slogan because it just makes sense. Just do it.
Yeah.
Right? Just do it. It's not that hard. If you want to do something, I was watching something too. I don't know who was speaking, but they were saying that the number one reason for success, it has nothing to do with being smart, has nothing to do with talent. It's grit. How much are you willing to do? How much are you really willing to do to get where you need to go? And people ask me all the time, well, how did you make millions? I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not the most well-spoken. Grit. I was willing to do anything it took. It didn't matter. And if I hit my head up against the wall, it didn't matter. I was going to keep going. And I think it's the same thing for you. Yeah, we had those low points. I think we needed those low points. I think without low points, you don't ever get to be as successful as you can be. You need those, but they're not. I always say this too. It's not the setback. It has nothing to do with it. It's the comeback. And those are building blocks in order to get where you need to go. Because if you do not fall, then you never will appreciate what's in front of you. And you have to fall. It can't be somebody else. It has to be you, because you'll never appreciate what's in front of you. So one thing I don't know if you know this, when you spoke in front of and Setema spoke in front of like 200 agents, there was this one kid. Do you remember the one kid in the crowd? He said to you, he like told his story and he had this determination that he was going to do really well in the business.
Yeah.
He did.
Has he?
Yeah. How many stories have you heard like that?
Well,
what's the best story? The best story when you spoke and your words, because sometimes you see people, look, there's a lot of motivators that are full of shit. You are not full of shit. And I know you're not, because I've spoken to you numerous amount of times on the phone, in person, to like when we get together, our conversations are so deep and intentional. Like, you are the real deal. So, I mean,
I'll tell you, I've got to listen. So this lady posts something because there's a last conference coming up, and I spoke at one of these conferences in 2017. She goes, I will never forget when Setema opened the conference, and she wrote like a paragraph. And she's like, his words drove me, like, I was like, that was 8 years ago that I spoke. And she's like talking about what she felt. I remember I moved here to Vegas, and I'm at the gym, the Dragon's Lair, and this guy walks up to me. His name is Sean. And he looks at me in the eyes and he starts to cry. And he goes, 2 years ago, you spoke at an event. It was 2 years ago. And he goes, everything that I'm doing today is because you changed my life. When I hear stuff like that, another client, someone who ended up hiring me goes, I have 7 different streams of income. I paid off my home, my car, my parents' home, and I just hit a 7-figure net worth, like all debts paid, because of a program I came to where I heard you speak. Like when I hear stuff like that, Mara, I'm just like, and I know it's not me. I know I'm an instrument in God's hands. Like you, we want to just create value, make a difference. But I love stories where people they'll say like, and they're emotional. They're like, you changed my life. I'm like, that was 2 years ago. And I'm like, they're crying and I'm crying with them. Or I'll get these messages from teenagers who heard me speak and they're like, you'll never know. Like, again, I think one of the best is when people are like, I was contemplating suicide. Yeah. And I heard you open your mouth and I had to step around the stage and like, who is this guy? And they're like, you gave me purpose. You gave me hope. Stuff like that. I'm just like, oh.
Because it's a real story.
It's real.
It is a real story. I mean, just think look, your statistics going to the NFL, not NBA, NFL, and your statistics, less than 2% go. You're on top of the world. Like literally, like that, like you made it. Anybody would consider you made it. You're there. And then boom, it crashes. You know how many people would just say, okay, I'm out. They would take their ball and go home. You know how many people would do that? I think a lot of people would. A lot of people do, Mara. And I knew, again, being clear, I did not want my sons to say, oh, my dad was a great football player. I didn't want that. That was like 30, 40 years ago. I want my sons to be like, man, my dad does this and he shows up and he supports me and he's been an example. I wanted to make my sons and my parents and my whole family proud. That's what it's about.
That's my why. I call it my holy cause. It drives me to stay in shape, to better myself, to be fit, to be spiritually connected, to just treat people the right way.
I have a question. Did you ever get that ring back?
He won't even sell it to me.
He won't even? But you did try to go back and get it.
I talk to him once a year. There will be a day when I get it back, though. I promise you that.
Why? He just doesn't want to do it now? Now it's probably just like...
I think he's waiting. He said he's going to retire soon and that he will give me an offer to buy back.
But he probably really thought you were never coming back. And
I offered him 6 figures for it. He said no.
No?
No.
He must really like that ring.
I just think he loves all his rings. I think he loves all the rings that he has. But one day I'll get it back.
I love that. But you know what really stands out, because I'm kind of in this place right now, and I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing your rationale.
Yeah.
I was telling you, like, I'm in this place right now where I'm trying to figure out, because being intentional is really important to me. And I think you're right. As we get seasoned, not older, seasoned, we realize that our legacy is our children. Like, we want to leave behind, and being with our children is really, at the end of the day, you don't get buried with your trophies. You really don't. It's,
you take nothing
with you, right? Yeah. But what you do have is your lineage, your children, obviously, and being intentional. So because being intentional is so important, where do you draw the line? Like, I'm not going to do this because I'm going to stay. I know being at the kids' sports stuff is really important. I see you working out with your son. I see all of it. So where do you draw that line and just say, I can't commit to this because this is what I'm intentional to is my children. And you're not unapologetic about it. I love that.
So when your kids are younger, I tell guys, they're like, oh, I want to spend more time with my kid.
They don't know.
And I'm like, your kids don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, you could see them 2 hours a day at night, and they're good. I go, pay the price early. Like, grind. Grind, like, in your 20s and 30s, grind, because when you want to be with your kids is when they're in their early teen years.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you have to be willing to just work like a dog, pay the price, pay the piper early. And I tell guys, it's like, the time to travel and be away from home is when your kids are so small and they're babies. We have hundreds of videos where we look back and my boys are like, hi, Daddy, we miss you. I'm on the road.
Yeah, but they don't remember.
All they see is a FaceTime video. And now they see, I take them to school, I pick them up, I go to their games, we go to the movies, we go to I give them my time now. So, let's say someone's in that place now, and I just tell people, like, you have to figure out like this cost benefit analysis. Like I have turned down big speaking gigs because my son had a championship game or a graduation. I'm like, I'm not going to go to that.
It's a non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable. Yeah. And then there's times where I go to my family. I'm like, when Tulsi Gabbard calls me, I'm going.
Rightfully so.
When it's time to go support something for, I'm like, I look at my family and they're like, Daddy's got to go.
That's acceptable.
And they know. They know that that's part of the plan.
Yeah, no, I agree totally, but I think a lot of people do struggle with it. I struggled for a long time with the mom shaming, especially when the kids were little. But now I've created a space. I'd like to be home more, but the time that I spend with them is so intentional.
Yes.
Like that
Phones
time.
down.
That's it.
Present.
Yes, 100%.
Listening, connecting. Yeah.
Yes, there's that is a non-negotiable. Their birthdays, non-negotiable. Family trips, non-negotiable. Some things, yes, they're negotiable. You're right, especially when it comes to like big, huge events. But my kids come number one, and I think we lose sight of that because of everything else going on in our world, that we don't take the time to be intentional. And I think that's a big part of your message. So why is being intentional so important for you overall? Even when you talk to people, like I could talk when I know you're paying attention, and except for when you take your phone up, but then you're not. But I know when we're talking, it's intentional. Why is that important? Look, intentionality.
You know, number one, life is short.
Yeah.
So I just know that if I'm here with you, I got to be here with you.
Yeah.
Number two, I am clear about what I want. One of our principles is clarity is power. I'm clear how I want you to feel when I'm with you. Like I know before we're doing this, I'm like trying to get messages and check things and be done. But the moment we put our phones when I'm here, like I'm just clear. Like I want Mara to know that I have respect and love for you. Like I support you. I want you to feel that. And it's just being clear about, I want this. I want you to feel, I want my sons to know that, man, my dad's the man. I want them to be like, my dad is so amazing.
Yeah.
And that's my self-interest. So everyone has self-interest. And people just got to be really clear. Like, you're like, why isn't being intentional so important? Because if you're not intentional, you get the scraps and the crumbs and what I call a default life. Default life is garbage. It's like whatever's left over. I'm like, you're going to arrive here. Like we're going to arrive, let's say it was 10 years ago and we're like, February 4th, we're going to land at this place. If you're not intentional, you get to February 4th, you're not in great shape. Your money's not where it needs. But if you're intentional, you're like, this is what I want.
Yes.
And I'm going to go create what I want. And I'm going to go build what I want because I've thought about why it matters. And again, we all have the same choices. You got to choose.
I agree. What does success look like for you? If you can define success, what would that look like for you?
Two things. This is easy. Number one, it is achieving and accomplishing our deepest desires and goals.
Yeah.
But number two, it's who you become in the process. Success is two things for me. Achieving goals, but who I become in the process. And the reason I add the second one, I know people who achieve big goals, but they become prideful, egotistical, selfish people. They're not great people. It's not worth it. If I have to step on people and lay the streets with figurative body bags of people I burn to get to the top, that's not success. But if I can achieve my goals and help people in the process and become more loving, more giving, more empathy, that is success. Who I become while achieving my goals is success to me.
I agree. And you constantly are evolving.
Yeah.
Everybody's evolving. I would 100% agree with that answer because success is defined so many different ways. Some people define it by money, which I do not think money has anything to do with success. I think success comes within, like how you feel within yourself. And you get to a point in your life, I don't know if this happened for you, but for a long time, and part of BILF is really recognizing your truth, what that looks like. And for a majority of my life, I spent very uncomfortable with who I am outside and inside. A lot of insecurities, I think everybody does.
Amen. Everyone has.
Everybody, but nobody wants to talk about it.
But it's crazy. See, I would look at you, anyone would look at you and be like, oh, she's beautiful, she's outgoing, she's outspoken, she's good, she's articulate. Look at her, no one would ever think. No. There's no way Mara's got
Oh my God, I have tons of insecurities, I think now. So my question for you is, I like to just add a little spice in there, is everybody has something that makes them uncomfortable. Something. What is that for you?
Oof.
Probably nothing.
No, it makes me uncomfortable?
Something that really makes you uncomfortable. A roast, you did say that, like a roast.
I do not like to get made fun of. Like,
really?
It is, like, it's hard for me to get, like, yeah. I get emotional. Like, I think it's just when I was younger, and, you know, Polynesians, they joke and they put you down. I would just cry, and then I would fight. I didn't know how to come back. I'm not good at comebacks.
That's so funny.
So I answer everything with, like, I love you. I love you. I love you. That's what I say. I love you. And they can roast me. I'm like, I love you.
That is too funny. Yeah. That's really funny. I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So your persona, the way that you look, you always look well put together. And I know that you are just like we are ordinary people, but how do you separate when you have like all this going on over here, whatever that is, whether it's like family stuff or whatever's going on, how are you able to separate what's going on over here and still show up? How can you do that?
Yeah, it's
That's hard for people.
Like you have things going on at home, you know, maybe a fight with your spouse, you're not good with your children or an employee or a partner, and then you got to come over here and show up for these people. And for me, again, I go back to just being clear and committed. I am clear that when I show up here, I will never drag all my personal baggage. Like these people who hired me to speak, to coach, to train, they hired the best version of me. So I just know how to leave everything over here on the shelf, show up, drop it, deliver it, perform, and encourage, empower, and I go back and handle this. Now, there are things that I do to mitigate. I message my family every day. Family text, individual text, voice memos every day. I hug my boys and my family every day. Like long hug, like hug them and they're trying to get away from me. Like, no. We praise the family every night. We hug and kiss every night. We say, I love you every day. There are times where I am short and I'm tired and I just apologize and I say, hey, I'm sorry. I was off. Let me redo that one again. Let me redo. And I'm just trying to show them that you can have rough moments, but it doesn't mean that you have to make it a rough day.
Yeah. Bad moment,
pivot. And again, it happened this morning. My son was making egg salad sandwiches. The eggs aren't ready. He's starting to throw the eggs. And I said, son, I'm going to help. And he said, but Dad, I'm like, hey, we'll have Mom make the sandwiches. We get in the car. I put my hand on his arm. I'm like, it's okay. If I get mad, you guys need to calm me down. And they're like, yeah, right. I'm like, no, I'm serious. You guys are mad. I'm calm you. It's just a team effort. And I'm clear on what I want, which is peace, harmony, resilience in my home.
I love that. And when you have peace and serenity, it makes everything so much easier without chaos.
Yeah.
And people live in chaos and they are driven by chaos.
They're addicted to chaos.
It's chaos and drama.
Yes.
That's all it is. I see it with my daughter. She's in this chaotic drama thing all the time. It's a girl thing. Loves it.
They love it.
Loves it. She says she doesn't. She loves it.
The dopamine's like, ah.
Oh yeah, lives for it. I hear her screaming out, oh, and I'm like, what are you doing, Lily? Oh, nothing. I'm so angry. I'm like, you're not angry. You love it. You absolutely love it. So what does that look like in the morning when you're getting ready, right? What does your morning routine? Is there anything specific that you do? I know health and fitness is big for you. I see you all the time in the gym. What does that look like for you?
Two things that I've trained myself to do from the moment I get up, the moment I'm conscious, Heavenly Father is the first thing. So
you pray?
Pray. I start praying. And some people feel like they got to get on their knees. I'm like, I just like Heavenly Father. So prayer and gratitude. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I've trained myself to be like, thank you, God. Thank you, man. I love my home. I love this. I love my physical health. And I just start talking to God, and gratitude puts me in flow state. I get to my mirror, grab my toothbrush, and I have what's called conscious self-creation. People would associate them with like affirmations. I'm love. I'm powerful. I'm light. I'm the universe. I'm a world-class 5-star husband who shows up my wife. I'm a world-class 5-star dad who shows up my son every single day. People love Setema, and Setema loves people. I'm the greatest game-changing speaker. So I am already confirming and creating the version of Setema while I'm brushing my teeth. Shirt comes off, so I'm looking at my body, making sure I'm eating right. Gratitude, I prayed, breathing, and by the time I'm done, and then I have a 33-ounce vial of water. So I have to drink the 33 ounces before I leave the bathroom. That's easy. Room temperature water, 33 ounces in, prayer, gratitude.
Oh my God.
30.
Crazy. That's insane.
My conscious self-creation, where people think they're like, but I have a phrase that says, the story that you believe the most about yourself is the story that you tell the most about yourself. So I'm like, I'm powerful. I am extraordinary in business. People love Setema. Setema loves people. They just roll. My hands are the Lord's hands. My mouth is the Lord's mouth. My feet are the Lord's. I do God's will. I'm a devoted disciple of Christ. I'm fit, functional, muscular machine.
Love it.
When I walk into a room, people's attention gets garnered. They're like, who is that?
I know, even my mom was a member. My mom made me, literally, she was like, let me see him. She made me, but it's true.
And so that's the morning routine. Then I go get my stuff ready, get in the car. When I drive to the gym, sometimes I listen to music, and sometimes I listen to a podcast, but I love peace in the morning. It's like 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And I just pray and I just listen. I'm like, God, guide me today. Who do I need to reach out to today? Hit the gym, come home, breakfast, take my sons to school. We get in the car, we talk. I'm teaching them something. Then we hit a certain point, boom, music gets blasted. We're jamming out, high fives and hugs, and off they go. So that's my morning.
What's your favorite song, favorite rapper, or favorite artist? I don't know if it's a rapper.
Favorite artist?
Yeah, favorite artist.
Come on, that's a tough one. There's so many artists.
I don't know. I have a favorite.
Who's your favorite?
You'll never guess.
Who?
Snoop Dogg. Love Snoop Dogg.
I was about to say either Dre,
Snoop
that's
Dogg.
our generation,
Snoop,
right?
that's my guy. Love Snoop.
No.
Yeah, I love Snoop. How about you?
Dude, I love Snoop, love Biggie.
Oh, Biggie.
But I also love the gospel, like Kirk Franklin, Tamla Mann.
I could definitely see you stomping. I could see it. I can see it. I could see it. I love it. You go to church all the time, huh?
Yeah, I'm a church guy for sure. We pray as a family every night. We go to church on Sundays. They have their church activities during the week. We study the Word. Again, I try to live this. Your word is intentional. Because when I go to my grave, I don't want to go with regrets. I don't want to be like, why didn't I? Oh, nobody regrets. Like, oh, I wish I spent more hours at work. They're like, dude, do I have my family around me? Do I have the memories? Do I have the experiences? And so I just, as intentional as I can be. And when I make mistakes, which I make mistakes every day,
yeah,
just apologize. I clean it up, and then get back on track.
Yeah, we're not without flawed. Everybody does. I love that. I love how you, but what do you do? Because I know that you're real. What do you do about the naysayers, the hate? There's always haters.
Oh, so I was at Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing. The comments are just like Russian asset fools. They're just like clowns. So many.
They were just saying this.
Oh, they're all the comments in social media.
On social media.
And people will send me DMs and you effing this and that.
They really do. They really.
Oh yeah, and I just laugh because I'm like.
Does it bother you?
It used to, 10 years ago, that would have bothered me because
Yeah.
I run ads, and people would make fun of my programs. And now I'm like, if you're not getting haters and you don't have people telling you you're crazy, you're not playing a very big game.
Yeah.
And when you want to change the world, everyone's going to come out and attack you. So I just know I'm on the right path.
I love that. If people aren't talking about you, then you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
I love that. There's this thing. Have you seen this Ball Busters thing? Do you know what this is?
Yeah, Ball Busters.
Ball Busters?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're so mean though. I don't know if I want to be on Ball Busters. I don't want to be busted. I don't want to do that. But it is kind of funny. You're right. If somebody's not talking about you, then you absolutely are not doing something right because there's always going to be haters. So what would you tell somebody if they are experiencing haters?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be on a large scale, just a small scale.
Yeah.
How do you mitigate through that and combat that and just kind of figure out your own self-worth?
So the first thing I'd say is there any truth in what they're saying? And people are like, what? I'm like, is there any truth to what they are saying? And that's hard because the first thing we want to do is defend. And I'm like, look, the haters are like, now I know I'm not, and neither is Tulsi a Russian asset. I already know that. But when it's people in your circles who are telling you, you're so prideful, you're all about money. I'm like, instead of getting defensive, I just take a step back and say, is there any truth in there? No. They have a perspective that's having them say that.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I can have understanding, I can have a lot of empathy because I could be like, I could see why they would say that.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. Someone who's not committed and obsessed would think I'm crazy. To the people who are weak, strong people look aggressive. Someone would look at you and say, dude, she's too much. No, you're committed, you're disciplined, you're motivated, you're purpose driven. So I just know there's multiple perspectives, and to the people who are getting haters and family members, I was like, welcome to the game. That's the price of admission. If people aren't hating it, then the fact that you have people telling you you're too much of this and you're too much of that, it says, hey, you're on a good trajectory, because lazy people, non-committed people, non-disciplined people, they look at the people who are committed and disciplined. They're like, they're crazy. Of course we are.
Yeah, that's what you have to be.
Like, we're crazy. We want happiness. We want to make a difference. We want freedom. We want experiences. And we're willing to rise. And here's another thing. When you rise up, you just can't hear the haters anymore. You get so high, you're like,
can you take everybody with you on your way up?
No. People have to choose to do the work with you. They have to choose to do the work. I've told my kids, like, I do this, I'm like, when you turn 18, you're going to make your own decision. I have an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go to church. I'm like, fair enough.
Okay.
But come pray with us. He does his own thing. But I tell my boys, I'm going to give you everything I got, but I cannot take you to where I'm going. You got to do the work to get there. Period.
What do you do when people are trying to get, like, I know this happens a lot for people that are on their uprise to success. There's always people hanging on your coattails. And then some people that you just have to, you got to cut them off. When is that definitive moment when it's like, enough is enough?
You go have a conversation. Like, I call it confront. You go have a conversation where you confront. And you just say, hey, you want to go to the top with me? Because here's what's required to go to the top. Here's the price.
Yeah.
Here's the work. If you're not willing to do that, I can't save you, and I won't save you. So you got to do your part. And you just got to have these conversations, direct, confronting, compassionate, sometimes like colliding. But you got to tell people, like, I'm not pulling you. And this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Like, your job's not to save people. You're to give them tools, experiences, environments, templates to help them, but they gotta do the work.
It's so true, but then when do you, I struggle with this. Like, I'm a relationship hoarder and I can't get rid of people for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. But when is enough for you? Like, where it's an absolute definitive, like, you've hit my boundary, I'm cutting you off. Like, what does that look like, and when do you do that?
You just have to know, like, there comes a point where you're like, you gotta tell the truth.
Yeah.
I will no longer tolerate this. And we're done. And you think about all the consequences. Okay, I can keep this person, like, let's say it's an employee. If I keep this employee on, they're doing a sucky job. You're better off to just go hire someone. If you just can't stop paying them and you want to help them, say, stay home, I'll give you a paycheck, let me get someone here to do the job.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're like, that's dumb. Like, do the right thing in the right moment. And again, I tell people, like, you got to have those crucial conversations.
Those are hard.
They are hard.
When you're building a business, it's really hard.
You just have to know what's best for you is actually what's going to be best for them, because you don't want to harbor resentment. You don't want to be angry at this person. And they might not be happy in the job either. They might not be happy in the relationship either. So when you have this, Jesus said the truth will set you free. Truth is things as they really are.
Yeah.
When you discover truth with people, they're like, I'm not happy. You're like, well, I'm not happy either. Okay, let's just part ways and move on. Done.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's a very fine line. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. So what advice would you give to someone that is developing their business? Like, what 3 ingredients would you need to developing because you have successful businesses. What 3 recipes would you say that are needed, or ingredients would be needed to create a successful business?
Yeah. So I would say, number 1, community. There is a group of people, like, if I wanted to do what you're doing, I'm not going to go reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I'm going to come work for you. I'm going to come hire you. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to go interview the top people in the industry. That's my community. They've already, you got the blueprint. Why would I go figure it out? So
for sure.
I'm going to hire my mentors, my coaches, my leaders. I'm going to come work under you. I'm going to do everything to be around you and, like, add value to you. So if I can come up next to you and be with you, great. If you're like, no, go do your own thing, great. So community's 1. There's people that will accelerate you, the right people, okay? Number 2 is clarity. Meaning, some people think, oh, I just want to be a business owner. Well, why do you want to be a business owner? Because in their mind, they think it means freedom and ease. No, business owner is freaking hard.
Yeah.
It is tough. So you have to be clear about exactly what you want. And is like, for example, people say, I want to do a bodybuilding show.
Oof, I've done that. Have you done it?
I'm training right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You're competing?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
I'm going to compete. So
I'm going to come see your show.
Please do.
I am. I'm going to come.
But they think they want to be on stage but I'm like, no, what you're looking for is the thing that's going to give you, what's behind it. So clarity, be clear about the lifestyle, be clear about the price, be clear, and just make sure like, this is what I want. I know people the guys who are like, I just want to marry the hottest girl. I'm like, but do you get along with her?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be personality and connection and synergy, or I just want to have $1 million. Why? They're like, because in their mind, and having $1 million, I'm like, no, $1 million or 10 million gives you something. What is it going to give you? So clarity, community clarity. And then I'd say the last one is commitment. And to me, commitment is also competency.
4 C's, I like that.
So commitment, so I could be this committed, like I'm committed to go building a $10 million business. But if my competency is here, then my commitment comes here, and it has to pull. So I have to develop competency skills.
Yeah.
Another good example would be, I ask this question at my seminars: how many of you could run 100 miles right now, today? I'm like, if I gave you $1 million to run 100 miles, and I'll see people raise their hand. I'm like, you're full of crap.
Yeah, you're not doing it.
You can't. It doesn't matter how motivated, how committed, because commitment to get $1 million is here, but your capacity and competency is here.
Yeah.
You have to develop this capacity, this competency. Like you've got crazy capacity. Like your employees, your team, your family, your husband, social, but like you can carry weight. A lot of people don't have that competency or capacity. So again, for me, it's simple. Get the right people, your community.
I love that.
And again, James Clear has a quote that says, go be around people whose normal behavior is your desired behavior. 2, clarity, be clear about what you want. I'm clear. I ain't trying to be a billionaire. I got buddies who want to be billionaires, but I'm like, I don't want to. I love my lifestyle with my family. And then commitment, which is like a committed man or woman will move a mountain with a shovel if that's what's required.
Yeah.
Being committed means you're going to do what's required, not your best. Doing your best is for kids. So if you do what's required, you build your competencies, you're in the right communities, and you're clear about where you're going, like you can get there. No doubt about it.
I agree. I definitely agree. So where are you going right now? What direction are you? I mean, you are accomplished. I mean, your resume is incredible. Football player, winner of a championship, rings, big time. I mean, name and freaking lights. I mean, now bodybuilder. Like, Setema, what don't you do? And where are you going right now?
So I have a book. It's called Game Changer. And we've always run these.
When does it drop?
End of February. It's coming. We're almost there. I've always run what we call the high ticket events, right? These are like $10,000, $20,000 events, $50,000 masterminds, and you can get like 100, 150 people in your group. I want to reach the masses. I want to reach moms and dads and just the everyday person who's never going to go drop 10 grand for this, but they will buy my book, and they will buy my course, and they can listen to my podcast, and I can help and inspire them. Like I'm creating a movement of game changers. Game changer in my language is someone who feels called to change their entire trajectory, posterity. Like your grandkids will be like, you're a game changer. You are a game changer. Your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids will be like, man, remember Grandma Mara, man? Look at what she did. Her name's on the building, and people will say, oh, that's your mom? You changed the game. You gave your family permission. You gave your children permission to dream. Like, you changed the game, Mark. Like, you really did.
That's what you're doing. I'm
a game changer. I liberate game changers, so that's our movement.
Is that what the book is about?
Straight game changer, yeah.
It's all, what is it, like short stories? Is it just life experience?
It's a lot of our curriculum of our 4-day events.
Oh, I love that.
This is how we change lives. And we took the curriculum, we put it in the book.
And what's your podcast about?
So I've got almost 700 episodes.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's called Game Changer. So it used to be called Your Daily Revolution.
I love it.
And then we changed the name to Game Changer. And again, they're short episodes. My podcast is like 10, 12 minutes. They're chunks. Like, listen, got a lesson, I got it.
I love that.
Yeah.
People can't pay attention longer than that.
Yeah,
I just like talking to you.
Almost 700 episodes.
700?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's amazing. How many years ago did you start?
And I started in 2017. And here's the crazy thing. My first probably 500 episodes recorded on my cell phone. I'd be like, hey, welcome to the Game Changer Podcast, your boy Setema Gali, and I'd send it to my guy. He'd add the bumper, and that was it. There was no video. Now the last, I think 200, there's videos. And
that is so amazing. There's like nothing you don't do.
I ship it and start it and go.
What about coaching? Are you coaching right now?
So I have my coaching clients who are business owners, entrepreneurs. I coach my son's football team.
You coached me. You did help me.
You're an
Definitely helped me.
I coach speakers, but just people who want to have it all.
I love that.
And then I love my family, and I go to church, and I'm a community man. I'm a family man. My uncle, like brother, I love what I do.
Okay, I have a really serious. I know everyone's going to ask.
Give it to me.
All right, real serious question. So listen, everybody knows when they see you look like The Rock.
Yeah.
So have you, and be honest, ever tried or impersonated and let it go for, I can't imagine, like you have?
I've been at like Disneyland or Disney World, and people are like, Rocco, like, foreigners. I'm like, take pictures, oh, Rock. And I'm like, I'm not him. They're like, you're him. I'm like, I'm not him. You're him. I'm
then, you're like, all right, fine.
I'm not, no tattoos. I'm not him. And, you know, you are. I'm like, I promise. They're like,
I'm dead. That's so funny.
Like, yeah. So
he might. I don't know.
And everywhere I go, people, you know, and they're like, can you? I was like, I can pop my pecs. I can do the pop. I can give you the eyebrow. I'll give you the eyebrow. But
no one's ever called you to be a stunt double ever?
No, he's got 2 stunt doubles. I met the stunt doubles. They're awesome dudes.
They probably look just like you.
They all look very similar.
So what about your next move? I have a feeling that you're going into politics. Is that something you would consider?
I do politics, especially because to serve our country, serve our people, I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, I've always been on this path of coaching, mentoring, personal development, speaking. But again, I'm coming up on 50 here in a little bit, and I just want to do the thing that's going to give me the most output for family and for people.
I love that.
So
I really love that.
I am not close to it. I'm very open to it.
I will be on your campaign trail. I 100%.
You better be.
I will be. I will be there with the big sign. I will be that person. So if anyone wants to find you, where would they find you?
Just go to, obviously, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Setema Gali. It's my name. My website, setemagali.com. Again, if you reach out, my team's going to reach back, and we'll connect, and we'll give you different resources. And I love what I do. And I love that, again, you talk about being authentic. You are as authentic and kind, and I'm just grateful that you had me on your podcast.
I'm so excited that you are here, and if you really took anything away, take away the fact that you can do anything in this life that you want to do. There really are no barriers, absolutely none. It's really just getting up and doing it, so just do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited about today's podcast. Thank you for everything. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much.